Every large accomplishment results from a visionary inspired by an idea. During the creative process, it is difficult to see how seemingly insignificant tasks lead to the completion of the whole. But each component, no matter how small, is critical to the realization of the vision. Yolanda Gutierrez, an artist from Cozumel, Mexico, is internationally recognized for work that explores the intimate relationships between humans, nature, and the divine. One of her largest nature-based sculptural works is The Devotion of the Sunflower, created in the South Carolina Botanical Garden in February of 2003. When Yolanda left South Carolina and her impressively large creation, she hoped that those who visit would not only marvel at its size, but would also wonder how it came to be. Yolanda was invited to participate in the South Carolina Botanical Gardens nature-based sculpture program because of her ability to work under a set of specific conditions. The program allows great latitude regarding the design of each sculpture. Some are architectural, some are spatial, and others forge new categories altogether. But there are 4 program-defining characteristics that must be maintained. The proposed sculpture must incorporate living plant material, be site-specific, nature-based, and completed within 28 days. Site-specific means that instead of creating a piece of art in a studio and then finding a place for it, the artist designs a sculpture in response to a site within the landscape. Nature-based means that materials of the earth are utilized in the design. Not every artist can work within these parameters, but Yolanda has traveled a long way to participate because she knows this venue is ideal for her. She welcomes the opportunity to select a site from 300 acres of diverse habitats and to incorporate living plant materials into her artwork.
Well, my first impression of the garden has been a very pleasant one. It's a much larger space than I had imagined. Now, I'm trying to imagine how it will be in the summer and how it will change with every season. I'm not really sure yet of what I'm going to do, but the idea of using clay interested me. There are a couple of open places at the entrance of the garden, near the house.
After a site is agreed upon, a collaborative of horticulturists, faculty, project coordinators, students, and interpreters will support Yolanda throughout the creative process. Having spent a day reflecting on other possibilities, Yolanda's attention has returned to the place near the house that appealed to her during the initial walkthrough. Home to the Gardens Visitor Center, it is undoubtedly the most visited location on the entire property.
From the first moment that I arrived, I liked the form of the slope. Personally, it reminds me of a place where I played as a child in the country. But later, when they explained the environmental specifications of each place and the measures taken to protect the trees, the soil, the environment, I thought that I could have a little more freedom if I worked in this site, and it would be safer for the forest. I want to decorate the landscape around the front of the house. I want to complement the architectural beauty and the beauty of the natural landscape that is here with the beauty of a design inspired by nature.
So what it sounds like is that you're doing a geometric design out of the molded clay blocks.
The garden staff is obviously intrigued by Yolanda's design concept. Several points need to be clarified before they can advise her on appropriate ways to proceed.
How are people going to access the space? Because the sculpture program requires that people be able to enter the space.
Okay.
Is there a color that she's thinking of?
Okay, hay un color que prefieres de las flores? Rojo, red.
Whatever plant material that we use and the overall design cannot be a maintenance issue. Mm-hmm. It has to be extremely low maintenance, which means we can handle it basically once a year, or that it can take care of itself.
Okay.
Having worked around the world, Yolanda is accustomed to communicating through translators and finding nonverbal ways to connect with people. Confronted with the limitations of the spoken word to convey a creative concept, Yolanda is asked for a visual representation of her ideas.
We really actually need a little bit of drawing or something.
Okay.
Also. And also, we're back to maintenance issues, which is the plant material. Draw up both of these ideas tonight. We'll meet at 8 o'clock in the morning before these guys leave.
While Yolanda prepares the requested sketches, the collaborative explores ways to learn from the day's experiences that will improve communications.
What we're discovering is, and even though we're using a translator, what is adding a challenging element to the project for her as well as us is that it's quite easy to translate and convey gross language, the larger concepts, but where we're really hitting the places where we have to communicate quite specifically and make sure we're intimately getting all the details in, or in all the nuances.
When you learn Spanish, you learn generic words like insect. But then here we're talking about fire ants. We're talking about problems with the pine beetles, so I had to look up beetle. Yolanda saw a bird. Well, we knew it was a hawk, but how do you say that in Spanish? I mean, we know the word for bird in general. And also things with the landscape, talking about the slope, cutting out quadrants, just, the mechanical aspects of developing a site. It's very specific vocabulary.
By the time the group meets again the following day, Yolanda has integrated all of her ideas into one design and surprises everyone by making her presentation in English.
This is the house, and this is more or less the design. It will be with clay. I would try to make platforms, small platforms in this area, the black with red, with small plants.
Careful to ensure effective communications, the collaborative discusses the logistics of the project.
We could possibly set up a workstation on the asphalt,
Close the drop-off
cordon
down.
off the drop-off, and that way at least you would be close by, but you'd be working from the top and moving material in. I really like the design, and I think that it will really complement this entire area.
The questions are resolved and everyone agrees it is time to begin construction.
I'm happy that they liked the idea, but I can't cry victory yet, as we say in Spanish. There are still many details that must be analyzed, and many problems related to the construction that must be resolved. Just as we are starting the project, just as the project is being born, this hawk flies over us. It's a beautiful nawal, or good omen, for us. The name of the sculpture is The Devotion of the Sunflower. The title refers to the fact that the sunflower adores the sun. Therefore, every day it follows the sun, and in a way, it watches it all the time. The truth is, I would have liked it to be something smaller. But if I want to do something that really harmonizes with the surroundings of the house, it has to be in proportion. If I do something small, the house will overpower it visually. So it has to be in proportion with the architecture. It has to be big.
Yolanda has created large works of art before, but she has never attempted to fill this much space with one sculpture. In order to complete the piece within the allotted time, she will need to rely on the assistance of many. Professors from various disciplines at Clemson University contribute their time and expertise to the realization of Yolanda's vision, and simultaneously utilize the experience as a learning opportunity for students.
Working with an artist affords the students the opportunity to learn something firsthand, not out of a textbook, but to see a master or a pro doing it, to help them do it, to learn their fingers, their legs, their whole body learns it. And then I can never erase it. It's theirs forever.
Lisa Day, a landscape architecture student and veteran of the sculpture program, is asked to prepare scale drawings of the sculpture. The relationship this prompts between artist and student is at the core of the program. As artist and student exchange ideas, they learn from one another, alternately assuming the role of teacher. Responsible for creating and explaining the technical drawings that will guide construction, Lisa continues to expand her role from student and teacher to leader.
We can go out to the site and check the grade, so then I can finish the section, and then that way we can explain to the rest of my classmates and peers what step is to be taken to make this.
Consistent with the impact-sensitive philosophy of the program, the sod is recycled by moving it to another part of the garden.
As soon as everybody gets back, we'll break up the site, get out all the debris, and then we're going back down with a woven black plastic mat that will have several functions. One is to keep any downpours of rain from washing the clay away, and the other is wherever it remains at the end of the process, it'll help keep any Bermuda grass seed that is remaining in the soil from, if it germinates, it won't come through the black mat. Very well appreciated.
Day 9 marks a turning point in the construction. The crew begins to translate the working drawings from paper to site. Quickly, they discover that the crudeness of their tools and the variations of the slope are affecting their ability to create symmetrical markings.
That was too close. That one's not consistent.
The way I saw it when I was designing it was the geometrics of it, and I thought it would be perfect until you got out here and you start plotting it out. You realize that things got to change and you got to improvise with what's given to you and the time constraints that you have.
Yes.
Yolanda has chosen rammed earth as a primary component of her design. This ancient and labor-intensive building technique produces structures that endure for decades. Nearing the halfway point of the project, Yolanda quickly determines she needs some sort of mold to complete more than 100 forms before time runs out.
I think more or less like that, no?
8 inches?
More or less.
So we'll build it high, and she can make it however deep she wants.
Yes.
Based on the outcome Yolanda wants to achieve, the decision is made to use a metal mold. Not only will it easily bend into the proper shape, it will last longer than other materials and is readily available.
I think it was closer to 3 foot.
We basically have 3 types of sculptures in the program. One is architectural, clearly architectural. There have been a couple that are more landscape oriented, and then there's what I call spatial, which really defines a particular space within the landscape. And this one I think breaks out and actually creates a 4th category simply because it's associated with an architectural structure. It is spatial, it is landscape, and for the first time we're actually tying in directly to a building.
By the next morning, the mold has been cut and reassembled. Yolanda takes it to the site to see how it fits.
The reason why we did the threaded rod was hopefully it can be adjusted for the different sizes.
Since all are satisfied that the mold is the proper size and shape, duplicates are created that will enable several forms to be made at the same time.
We have 17 days to tamp about.
We are over 100.
Okay.
I
More
just
like about
counted.
115 or something, 110, something like that.
With construction of the molds underway, Yolanda turns her attention to selecting plant materials.
These are Rudbeckias. These particular ones will not come back from year to year, but this one will. That's very good. Thyme, oregano. The other one, yeah, rosemary.
Through conversation, a description of the ideal is developed. The plants need to be inexpensive, fragrant, colorful, low maintenance, readily available, and able to grow in full sun. It is a tall order that the horticultural staff will do their best to fill.
I'm just going to look and see what's available, what I can buy, and then what I can buy in a week, 2 weeks, and that will determine pretty much what we do.
The supplies needed to begin mixing and ramming earth arrive. The proportion of each ingredient, native clay, cement, and water, is calculated based on experience.
Who wants to do the honors?
You might want to, Aaron, you want to go ahead and do it?